Good morning. We're in week 4-6. Remember, if you haven't taken your test, you need to do so. I'm going to upload the grades today. So if you have a 0, that means you still need to take it. Anyway, so here we go. We're going to do slope. And on number 1, to get slope, remember this is position 1, 2, 3, 4. Position 2 and 4 go at the top. So it's going to be -3 minus a -5. And then on this other one right here, it's going to be 2 or -2 minus a -4. And this right here becomes a plus. So 5 minus 3 is 2. And this becomes a plus. And then 4 minus 2 is 2. So your slope is 1. Okay, make sure you understand that. This one right here, you got to get y by itself. So draw a line. You want to subtract 3 over 4x from both sides. And when you do, you get 2y is equal to -3 over 4x plus 6. And then you want to divide by 2. So when you divide by 2, it actually goes on the bottom here. So what you're going to have is y equals -3 over 8, because 4 times 2 is going to give you that 8, and then plus 3. So your slope is rise over run. There it is. So in this case, you would go down 3 and then to the right 8. Okay, and that's a negative slope. Let's talk about today's work. Copy all of this down right here. We're going to be doing point slope, and you were taught this before. You need to memorize this formula right here. Okay? So first thing, they give you the slope. So you just tuck it in right there. And there's your point. That's your x and that's your y. But the y, the second one goes here. So it's going to be y minus 3 right here equals your slope, and then x minus your x, and that's a negative as well, so that'll become a plus. That's called point slope form. Now, the harder problem is solving this for y, and I'm not going to teach you that yet. This is good enough for today. All right, the next one here. This one's a little harder because you have to first find the slope. So what we're going to do is put 1, 2, 3, 4. So the second and fourth go at the top. So it's 3 minus a -5 over -2 minus a -4. This becomes a plus, so that gives me 8. This becomes a plus, so that gives me 2. My slope is 4. So we have the slope. Put an M right here. And now what we need to do is pick one of these points. When they give you the option to pick, I want everybody to choose the first one. Okay, that way we all do it the same way. So it's going to be y minus the y. Well, which one of these is the y? If you put 2, you're going to miss it. Your y is the second one. Equals the slope, and then x minus your x, which is right there. We're going to probably watch a little short video on point slope formula, but there it is. And today's work is going to be page 581, numbers 1 through 16. Okay? All right, let's talk about now college algebra. To do college algebra, what you're going to do is figure this out. Okay, so here we go. Remember, you want to get it in row echelon form where all of these are 1 and these are zeros. So what we need to do first is get rid of this one. We already have a 0 here, which is a good thing. So I'm going to multiply this top equation by a -2 and then add it to this last equation. So the first one stays the same. The second one stays the same. But this one, -2 plus 2 is 0. And that's the 0 I want. This right here becomes a +4. And a +4 plus 3 is going to give me 7. Okay? This is going to be a -2. And a -2 and a -2 is a -4. This becomes a +8, 9, 10. And that's what I'm going to go with right there. Okay? So let's just double check. Negative 2, that gives me 0. This is a plus. That gives me 7. This gives me 2, negative. And that gives me a negative 4. That gives me 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this one, you want to get a 0 right here. So I would multiply this one right here by a negative 7 and then add it to this equation. Now when you do that, the top one stays the same. So we're going to rewrite it. The middle one stays the same. But the bottom one is going to be negative 7 times 0 plus 0 is still 0. Negative 7 plus 7 is 0, and that's the 0 we want. This becomes a negative 14. Let me think a minute. So a negative 14 and a negative 4 is a negative 18. And then finally, this becomes a negative 28. A negative 28 plus 10 is going to be a negative 14, I believe it is, or negative 18 rather. Okay, and then here you got it pretty much in the form you want it. You're going to divide by negative 18 here, and now you have it exactly in the form you want it in. The first one stays the same. The second one stays the same. The bottom one here, you get a 1, and you get a 1 here. So this is perfect. This is row echelon form. You got all your 1s here, and you got all your 0s here. So it's x, y, z. So z is equal to 1 right here. And then you're going to have x, y. So it's 1y plus 2z is equal to 4. And you're going to substitute a 1 right here. So you're going to get y is equal to 2. Or rather, y plus 2 is equal to 4, and then you're going to subtract 2 and get y equals 2. So now you have x and y, and then you got to find out, or rather y and z. You think about that? Yeah, y and z, and now you got to find x. So to find x, this is x, so it's 1x minus 2y plus 1z is equal to negative 4, and then you plug in your y, you plug in your z, and you solve this equation. Okay, today we're going to talk about multiplying here. Now I want you to write the dimensions. This one is 3 by 2. This one is 2 by 2. So since the inside number is the same, you can multiply them. Now some of you seem to have some trouble with that. Remember, it's row times column. So I'm going to take this row times this column. Okay? So that gives me a negative 2. This gives me 0, right? 6 times 0. So I get a negative 2. Then I switch to this column. That gives me a negative 3. This gives me 54. So that's 54 minus 3, it looks like 51. Then I go to the next row and I do it again. That gives me a negative 8. Excuse me, negative 8 and 0. This gives me a negative 12, and that gives me 45. So a negative 12 and 45, whatever that is, let me think. Looks like 33. All right, let's go to this one. So now I'm going to do 0 times 2 is 0, and 3 times 0 is 0. That gives me 0. That gives me 27. I would double check it, but let's see what we have. We have a 3 by 2, and that's what we should have, a 3 by 2. Okay, anyway, your work is right here. And I want you to read your directions, because one of them says they want AB, and then they want you to put BA. And then one of them is A squared. When it's A squared, excuse me, you write it twice. All right, in any event, I'll see you guys in class. Have a good day.